Hello Ace, this is RetroTK2 and today we're back making our Pokémon Rom Hack. Last time we changed the title screen of our actual ROM to have a Mewtwo where the Charizard used to be. So I'll show you that there right now, Ace. That tutorial was an absolute disaster. If you've watched both parts, yeah, it was a tough tutorial, but got there in the end and was able to put the Mewtwo on the actual screen. The only thing is that I'm not 100% sure about the actual hex values. I'm not exactly sure how all of this works together, so I would like to go into that, but while I was doing the title screen, I actually got a number of comments from a commenter on YouTube. So I want to go through them now because the comments themselves were fantastic. So all the comments were from a guy called Sagiri. I am so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. By all means, I will make a change if I am mispronouncing it, just because his comments have been excellent. And I kind of want to go through each and every one of them, talking about just what he was speaking about. So in this first comment, he says if you're actually going to use thumb, you should use AR MIPS. Other ones are also very important as well. So we'll go down through them together. The one I want to start with is this one. In this comment, he says, oh wait, you're using Fire Red 1.1. I saw that GF presents or whatever at the beginning. 1.0 is the standard. Okay, so let's get this started, Ace. There are two different types of Pokemon Rom Hack. Also, by the way, I have created a nice quick link to my Pokemon Rom Hack folder. If you actually want to figure out how to do this yourself, Ace, you can follow the card on your screen now and watch my video on it. Just creating a wee system icon that is essentially just a shortcut to a folder. Okay, so now let's get stuck into this. So yeah, there turns out to be more than one version. So this version that I've currently got is actually version 1.1. And that would explain an awful lot of the issues that I've been having with the title screen. The fact that whenever I was following the actual ROM hack, or whenever I was following, sorry, PJ Moore's, I believe it was, tutorial, that explains why the memory locations were different for the actual sprite itself, for the tile set, I believe it was. So let's get that sorted out first. So I won't be able to actually show you how to download the ROM itself, Ace, but if you type in Pokemon Fire Red version 1.0, it should hopefully come up for you, no problem. So once you get that actually downloaded, the Pokemon Fire Red 1.0, it should just work like any other standard ROM hack. So if I go into here and use my Unity link up with it and do the launch of ROM, you'll see that, I can't really tell the difference actually between 1.1 and 1.2. Apparently it's something to do with the Game Freak logo. I'm not sure if that's correct. Maybe it could be because it's yellow, maybe. So, well, let's just double check to see if that is the case. I know that Sagiri was sort of saying that about the actual Game Freak logo is the reason why he spotted a difference. So let's have a look. Could be the Game Freak Presents. Is that the difference? Sorry about this. I kind of want to try and find a way where we can just sort of go, okay, yeah. Because I know for a fact that this is 1.0. Because I'll show you the actual test that I did in a moment. Yes, so I guess it must be the presents. So the presents is a different thing. And, well, okay, fair enough. Okay, cool. So the actual test that I did to see if this was actually the 1.0 version was to check to see if the Charizard was in the correct location. Whenever we open it up, the UNLZ GBA. So I open up the file. Oh no. Oh, for goodness sakes. Okay, so let's go and open this up. Even with that special thing is, I tell you what, actually, just because I know that this is going to be an issue, I will go and create a shortcut on the desktop. Paste shortcut, and there we go. So open file, desktop, Pokemon Rom Hack, and then the ROM itself is here. Perfect. Click open, click OK, and wait for it to load. And 2011 was where the Charizard should be, and there it is. There is the Charizard. So that's all working great. That seems to be cool, and we've got Pokemon version 1, which is good. So that tackles this first comment by Sagiri, and he just talks about his actual environment using Sagwin, which is a command prompt thing that we might actually have a look at if it becomes relevant. I've been using, of course, the Windows command prompt, and it's terrible, certainly compared to the stuff I've seen on Sagwin. So we might have a little look at that sometime later in the series. Okay, so let's go and have a little look at the other thing. So here goes a good bit of information about the actual dynamic offsets in the actual ROMs. It also speaks about a couple of like mishaps that I was getting whenever I was using the advanced map. This is on Pokemon Part 12. And then I sort of essentially was speaking about, oh, here it goes. Also, you'll probably want to go and clear out the broken versions of your script. If you remember back in Part 12, yes, I kept on changing the offsets of my script, creating new offsets and all that sort of stuff. So you actually want to go and replace that because, of course, it's taken up memory on your ROM. So I said, yes, thank you. After rewatching, I can see where I've went wrong. Is there any useful programs that can clear out the broken scripts? And he says, well, realistically, the best way to do it is to revert them to a backup. So basically, what that says to me is that I need to create a version control system for the actual ROMs that I create. The reason why I didn't want to do that is because, of course, I won't be able to create a remote version of it. And also it's a pretty bad practice to be trying to version control something as big as a ROM, which is about 17 megabytes. I know certainly Git is probably going to complain about it, going to slow down quite a bit whenever I actually do try and do my commits. But Sagiri saying that that's the best way to do it, then it seems like that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, we're going to go and create a version control system for the actual ROM. He also goes and talks about XSE actually having some directives, like remove directives, that can be used to actually just remove the actual ROM offset, or the script offset. I didn't necessarily like these. There's ones that can actually remove all as well, though he was sort of saying that, yeah, it can be extremely dangerous because it'll actually remove any script that is referenced within the actual scripts that you're deleting, which would be devastatingly bad because you could delete a ton of the stuff from the vanilla game. So yeah, it seemed like the best way to do it is to just revert to the backup, and that's the reason why we're going to create this version controlled system. The reason why I didn't want to do this, of course, is because the ROMs themselves aren't allowed to be version controlled. Doing so would be a violation of copyright law, of course, so GitLab would be really annoyed with it, and yeah, I suppose it technically is illegal. So we won't be able to do that. I won't be able to certainly have a remote repository, but I will be able to have a local repository, and that's kind of okay. That'll do, I think, certainly, just to have many versions of the actual ROM. So let's go with that first now. So let's go and create a yes please. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder called Git, and this is just going to have all of our stuff in it essentially. And yes please, working path will be this. I want to create the repository, and I want to create it here, and we will call it Pokemon Rom Hack, and that'll do nicely. Yes, and we want to, of course, we want the Git. So, okay, create destination path. Git already exists. Do you want to continue to create the repository in this folder? Yes, please. And there we go. Okay, so now we have a first. Okay, so we've got the folder. Now I want to go and create this and copy this across. So very, very basic, is nothing too crazy here. And like so. Okay, so Pokemon Fire Red version 1 ROM, we will say. I don't know whether this is the best way to do this, yes, but it'll do for the moment until I get something else up and running. And hopefully if I go into here, it'll load and will allow me to version control this, and it's going to complain because the following files are 10 megabytes or larger. Are you sure you want to add in the source control? Because these are going to be constantly changing, so therefore you're essentially adding 17 megabytes each time you make a change, yes, which is not where you want to be honest. But, well, that's where we're at. So, yeah, okay, right, let's go with this here first and do my first commit. Click OK, and of course we need to add in the username, advanced, and let's add in my full name, RetroTK2, and RetroTK2@gmail.com. Click OK. This is just good practice actually. Yeah, I suppose this is the first time you guys are probably seeing Git being used in an actual project. Maybe not. Maybe hopefully you've actually been able to use it. And you can watch, of course, my version control videos on that. The card to that series is on your screen now. But I mean, we're not essentially using this the correct way. This isn't really the way version control is meant to be. It's not meant to be taking the builds and the actual ROM itself. It would be more the scripts. And I suppose you could probably use it for the photos and the sprites, but yeah, whatever. We won't get into it. So that's good. That's the first part done. And at least now we've got a version control backup, and anytime I want to make a change to my project, I can do that. And I will have the backup of the ROM. So that's perfect. Okay, cool. Sagiri also advised me to use Gamer 2020's unofficial XSE version as opposed to, I suppose, the official XSE version. And they also advised me to use XSE over the Pokemon, was it Poke script or PXSE, or I can't even remember the name of it. Let's have a look here. Programs, script editor, PKSV. So he advised using XSE, and not just this version of XSE, but also Gamer 2000. So let's go and have a look at Gamer 2000's XSE, or 2020's XSE. Here we go. A couple of small fixes. So you should be able to go on and get this as well. Yes, I will have a link to it in my description. And there's one release, and this is the release we are going to go with. Okay, so let's download this. Okay, so once you download that, then open up the unofficial XE and extract it to wherever you want to. I'm going to extract it to my desktop, and I'm going to call the folder Gamer2020 XSE. I'm not actually 100% sure what the actual features are of this version of XSE over the other one. I'm not actually even sure what the features of XSE are, but sure. It's all part of the learning experience. So, and if Sagiri says that it's the way forward, then hey, I'm inclined to believe that it's probably the way to do it. Okay, so let's go and add these programs here, the script editor, and paste them like so. Continue, please. Okay. Keep having this issue, where it's crying about some sort of administration issue. So what I'm going to do is just copy this, and I'm going to open up my downloads folder. No, I'm not. I'm just going to download it again. Shambles. I hate administration. I hate the having to require those admin rights and all that sort of garbage with Windows. It is so irritating. But anyway, whatever. Okay, so let's extract all here. Okay, replace all files in destination. And there we go. Okay, so now we're hopefully, you know what it could be is it's probably actually a bit my antivirus software probably stopping. Yes, threat block, of course. I tell you what, we will turn you off for the moment. Turn it off. Extract all, and hopefully this will work. Although I'm surprised that it's doing this. I don't know, whatever. Standard. Things not going as they should be. It must be a RetroTK2 tutorial. Okay, so here we go. And now if I open it up, we should be in malware country. There it is. Okay, excellent. I'm not actually 100% sure, as I said, what the benefits of the unofficial XSE are over the original one. I wonder if it actually does say on the... Let's have a look. Probably does say on the actual README. Nope, I fixed some spree phrase. Okay, I'm not sure. Not sure what the benefits are, but we can look into it maybe at a later time, yes. So yeah, let's go. Sagiri also advises me not to use VBA SDLH for debugging. He says that no GBA is a much more stable feature-filled debugging emulator. So we're of course going to go and get no GBA. And gaming version, debug version, probably the debug version was one the way I want. So let's go and download it. Now, I must admit this, I have no idea how to use no dollar GBA or any of that sort of stuff. But again, we can just use it and try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, at least I'm in the exact same situation as I was before. So let's select this folder, extract all, and there you go, excellent. And if we turn on no GBA, presumably, oh wow, I like it, okay. And then if you run, okay, cartridge menu, right? Okay, this is the actual cartridge stuff that you want to insert. Oh, flip me. And yet another excellent dialog box. Okay, let's have a look at the ROM. Yes, please. Yes, please. Open up. Ah, okay, excellent. And it will actually run for us. Super. And here we can see all our logs going out. Okay, okay, brilliant. And you can even run traces. CPU specs. Okay. Okay. This looks pretty awesome. Can you presumably go through and turn stuff off? And these are actual registers as well, yes, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I'll probably, this would be great to have we fiddle around with. I wonder if we can actually just go through and tamper with everything. I like this. This is cool. Okay. And it probably crashes. Okay, no bother. Yeah, definitely worth a play around with that one, I think is. Okay, so let's go and add this to our programs. I wonder if it should probably actually have its own... Do I have an emulators folder? I don't have an emulators folder. I'm going to create an emulators folder. Is emulator. And that'll do nicely. Cool. Probably I will actually have to update the Unity side of things in order for it to actually launch with the correct commands, as opposed to this one. But okay, yeah, we'll leave it on the back burner. Don't need to do too much with it at the moment. And right, okay, that's brilliant. Sagiri also advised me to download Kinsey's Fire Red IDB. IDB, I believe, it's a database file that needs to be opened using IDA Pro. I'm not going to go anywhere near that stuff at the minute. Yes. He said it was really going to be needed more if I'm going to write thumb code, and I got to be honest, yeah, it's all over my head certainly at the minute. So I'm going to just leave that there for the moment. I also went through and just confirmed that the actual ARM instructions are 32 bits and all the thumb instructions are 16 bits. So whenever it says that the thumb instructions are half the size of the ARM instructions, then this is certainly confirming it. And thumb is preferred in the GPA just because the equivalent code is smaller. And apparently PokeScript, or the one that we've been using PSV, God, I can't even remember I looked it up in a couple of seconds ago, yes, but I can't actually quite remember it. PKSV. That script is an entirely separate language and doesn't compile down to assembly. It combines to its own sort of bytecode, and the game uses an interpreter to run it, which is kind of amazing, I suppose. But so I'm not sure whether or not to write in assembly or try and see if PokeScript has other commands. Well, I suppose XSE will have its own sort of version of PokeScript that we can use. I just want to tap into that steps event. I'm not really that bothered about ASM and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if I can get by without using assembly language, I'm quite happy to go for it. It also goes on to say that I should be using AR MIPS instead of HackMuse thumb.bat. I'm again not 100% sure exactly what he's talking about here. I think he's talking about an actual way of, so the way that I see it is that there is a way of writing the assembler, and then the assembler needs to get in, the assembly language needs to get into the ROM, and HackMuse thumb.bat is a way for you to do that, and you can use AR MIPS instead. Again, is I mean, I'm shooting in the dark here, I'm not going to lie. But he says that AR MIPS is better because it has a better workflow. So with the thumb.bat, so the normal workflow of the thumb.bat is to assemble the .asm file into a .bin file, and then open the .bin file and your ROM in a hex editor, and then manually copy the contents of the .bin file into your ROM. AR MIPS is unique among the assemblers in that it can assemble directly into another file In other words, it has directives to open your ROM and it can insert the assembly code directly into it. So far better build process, certainly whenever it comes to AR MIPS. I must admit is, since I haven't used either of them, yeah, I mean, I'm not really that bothered by it. Apparently he says he's also got C-ish processor directives that can be used in AR MIPS. Again, all stuff to look into, yes, I'm not going to lie. A lot of the stuff that Sagiri talks about is completely over my head, certainly just because I'm a massive beginner at this. And certainly these posts make me feel like a baby. But you got to crawl before you walk, eh? So maybe this is a very good start. So, okay, let's go to AR MIPS. And let's search for it. So it's King Kong, and okay, let's have a look at his releases. So we're going to go with latest version. Sounds good. Now we'll download that. Again, I have no idea how to use any of this stuff. So again, yeah, I mean, maybe it'll all be stuff they introduce as the series goes on, and yeah, I mean, just try it out. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We're in the exact same position as we were whenever I started this. And if I do need to go and just use use thumb.bat instead of this because I just can't get it working or whatever, that's not too bad. There's a readme there, yes. Should you want to go and have a look at that, I will have a look at that at some other point. Not quite now. But yeah, as I said, I mean, it's all about just trying to find the correct workflow. I mean, I'm happy enough using the PKSV scripts so long as... just so long as I can tap into that steps event. So long as you can do everything that you want to do with it, doesn't bother me. Okay, so ASM we will call this, and we will type in AR MIPS. Actually, I've just created this because it's going to mess me up if I do any of that. We're getting quite a number of programs as well, so I suppose that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's AR MIPS for the moment. Sagiri also talks about advanced map having there's a couple of like nice useful shortcuts, so let's go through them right now and open up advanced map and let's have a little look at this. Okay, so let's go and open our ROM. Again, I don't understand why these things have this. I hate this type of dialogue, but I don't know, type of dialogue box. Anyway, let's carry on. This has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And okay, so let's just use Cerulean City as an example. Actually, I'm going to create a copy of the ROM. No, I've already got the... Okay, so no, it doesn't matter because it's all version controlled anyway. The power of version control is, it's always good to remember that. I've already got a copy of the ROM is essentially what I'm trying to say. So, okay, let's go and open up this one. Excellent. And let's go and from header, Cerulean City. Yeah, sure, whatever. This one. The big one, the big map. Okay, excellent. So let's go and have a look at what he said. Okay, so advanced map has a middle click fill, which is more convenient in my opinion. So you can middle click fill. No. This. Oh, okay, very good. So let's have a look at this, and it'll go in. No. Okay, so it'll try and associate with tiles that are very similar. That's very good. Very good. I like that a lot. Okay, cool. So I'm just clicking the middle mouse button there. Is so basically I select say we'll select this door, and because these are all the same tile, if I left click, it'll go and try and associate the correct one with the correct tile. Presumably, if I do it with this, it'll do the exact same thing, and here as well. Very cool. Very cool. I like that a lot. He's already mentioned in a previous video. Control right click and drag to select multiple tiles at once. Okay, let's try that now. Control, what was it? Control left click and drag. Nope. Control right click and drag. Okay. Big block is this, and if I click, okay, very, very good. I like that a lot. Okay, let's have a little look at this again. So left click and right, so it's control, right click and drag is, and then if you left click, you fill that stuff in. That is pretty awesome, I must say. Okay, pretty awesome, good. And, or simply right click to select an already placed tile. So if I right click on this one, if I right click on this one, then I've selected this one. Very good. Okay, cool. So I'm just right clicking on whatever tile I want here is. So this one here is what I want, and I want to replace this one by left clicking. And that is Pretty boss. Pretty cool. Pretty awesome. Yep. Okay, I like that a lot. Oh, okay, well then I need to go and select this one anyway because, of course, although then if I went like this, okay, so control, right click and drag, very good, and then left click, it would have replaced them all. Okay, very good, Ace. I know it seems really, really basic, Ace, but I mean, this is the sort of stuff that can really speed up your development quite nicely. Also under settings, you probably want to enable show sprites and disable hide other events. Settings, I want to enable show sprites. Show sprites. And hide other events. Which is what this is. I suppose is what he's talking about. I have no idea. This is, oh flip. I messed up. What am I trying to do? Stop. I'm trying to pan it. I don't know whether you can pan. Okay, now that'll be pretty cool to figure out if there's a way to pan across. I'm sure there probably is. I'm almost certain there probably is a nice way to pan across this. Maybe it's Alt and move. No. Okay, well we'll leave it at that and not to worry too much about that. Have you put on the sprites? No. Show sprites? No, thank you. Oh, I was warping there, I think. Oh, I have no ideas. Map connections, show sprites, and yet we warp. What is going on? Show sprites. No. Events, hide other events. Oh, I need to go into events, don't I? Yeah, okay, of course. And then if we go into settings and we go to hide other events. Very good. I like, he was sort of saying that I should turn off, okay, and disables hide other events. So you're saying disable hide other events so that you could see them, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. Apparently as well, if you double click, also you can double click on the warp rather than going to go to, so rather than left clicking and going to go to, like that, you can just double left click and it would bring you straight back. Excellent. Exactly as he said, superb. And I must admit that that tile stuff is pretty awesome. Like that, being able to go and left click and placing all this tile stuff, even though I'm completely messing up my ROM is pretty damn awesome. Okay, fantastic. And I think we'll leave it there, Ace. So a bit of an interesting sort of tutorial there. Not really a tutorial, but certainly looking at an awful lot of help that one commenter can give me. And Sagiri, thank you so much for all of those comments. They are fantastic and have definitely helped me quite a bit. So I wanted to pass that knowledge on to you, Ace. And well, yeah. Hopefully that has been not a complete waste of time, and we will certainly look into the other programs in the future. So yeah, rate, comment, and subscribe. Yes, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you're enjoying this series. You can email me at retrotk2@gmail.com if you have any tips like Sagiri. Once again, thank you so much for all of those comments. That was pretty darn good. Thank you for watching this, and I'll see you in the next video.